I'm like, no, I'm not. Why is it still going?
Is it? It shows us live on my end.
Yeah, we're live. I was just playing the video coming in.
Oh, okay.
What's up, everybody? Oh, why? What? Ooh. You got a bad echo. I'm trying to figure it out. Are you playing through just your headphones?
Yep.
Yeah. See, that's so weird.
Do I have an echo? I don't. Yeah. I don't hear my echo. I don't know if you hear my echo.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's you or what. I hear it coming back. It's driving me nuts. Oh no! Let me get in the settings real quick.
I don't think I had echo last time, but I might this time.
It's not you. It's me.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
I hear it coming back. Never mind. I'm an idiot. See, I have no clue what I'm doing. I forgot I was on my stream channel on a different browser, and it was playing back through with like a 5 second
So it's
delay.
playing.
So I feel so dumb.
Hey, we'll call it technical difficulties. We had no
Dude,
idea.
I'm terrible. What's up, everybody? I got Dusty back on tonight. We're just gonna talk about combi ovens. It's that time of year again. Schools are been up for a few months now, and they're starting to run into issues, and everything else. So I didn't know what anyone had to talk about, or anyone wanted to know. I had a little video from one today. That was my favorite grocery store chain I work on. So that's the bottom unit, and it has 2 chemical pumps down there. It's a combo therm, Cleveland. And they abuse it, and it's had some issues for a while. It's had some shorts down there, and I was there to actually change a wiring harness. So I pulled the front panel off, pulled the side panel off, and like, hey, the chemical pump's not working. Well, there's a drain hose that goes from the drip pan to the back to the drain box, and grease had ate through it, and it actually leaked grease all over to the pump. So that's what I was just taking a video of. I was like, hey, we're going to have a comedy show tonight, so let's go ahead and show it off. So it wasn't too bad. It's gonna be fun to change. I go back. Just that hose is too short. Like you have like a half inch of wiggle room to put that hose on there, and it's just a nightmare.
Is so the drain hose is deteriorated from the grease?
Yeah, it's a drip pan hose that goes in the front. So it's got that drip pan underneath the door, and it goes back and it's got like a little trap in there. And someone put it on before me, and they had actually put it on upside down so it wouldn't drain. And I noticed when I took it apart, because I had to put that harness in underneath there, and I was like, well, it's upside down. That's why I rolled it over the other way. And I was like, oh, it's rotted through. So it leaked grease all over those pumps. So I got to change both those pumps and that hose. And there's a pressure switch we'll go ahead and change too down there. But those combo therms can be a nightmare. I love them.
Yeah.
It's just this grocery store chain doesn't take care of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That combo therm I fought for like a month, just based upon pretty much lack of maintenance and stuff like that. And it's I learned a lot working on it, but you got to keep those things clean and take care of them, because when it goes south, it goes south.
Yeah, water is a huge thing. So this chain, they had cooking programs in there. So what happens is they turn it on, it goes automatic preheat. So it preheats like 384 degrees. Fan comes on, stays high. So that way when they go to cook, it's preheated for them. So it stays that way all the time. So when they go to put it in a cooking mode, though, if it has an issue, it'll kick them out of cooking mode, won't let them cook. So they figured out that, hey, we need to cook chickens. So if cooking mode doesn't work, they just put chickens in there instead of timer. But the problem is it says grease collection. So if it's not running an actual cook program, all the grease is just running in the drain, sits there and just get pumped out, and it clogs them up. So literally, there's 2 stores here, and I have to go to both of them like once a month, and have to go in at night when they close. I got either lift the ovens up or jack the ovens up, pull the bottom off, pull the grease pump out of them. Sometimes I get lucky if I catch it fast enough, I can use nitrogen and blow it back through the other way. But
Yeah.
if they don't do that, I mean, if I don't catch it fast enough, it's screwed. It's changing the pump. It's pulling it off. It's running like they call them trombone tools. It's like it looks like it's a long spring, but it's got brushes on the end, and you shove it down in a trombone. I just try to shove through all that tubing, but there's like traps and cutaways in those drain boxes. Part of it's welded to the bottom of the pan. Part of it's, plastic you can get off. It's just a nightmare. So once I get them to where they run, I actually take a different drain hose that comes off. It's a different hose comes off the back. It's a little blue hose. It's a little nipple sticks out. I actually get a different hose longer, and I run it back around to the front, and I pour degreaser in it, straight degreaser into the drain, and I just turn that pump on, and I just let it pump itself in a loop for like an hour.
Which pump? Just that drain pump?
It's got a grease collection pump, so it's an add-on.
Okay.
So if it's not like a place that asks for it, they don't have it. It's like a special option. So it is it's just like a 12-volt DC pump. It's actually crazy. It pulls like 5 amps DC.
Oh,
but it's like looks like a little miniature filter pump at the bottom, and it just sucks grease out the drain. It's in the back, right behind the drain. So the drain comes out the bottom of those combotherms, and it's like right behind it on the back. And there's probably a panel there, and there's no pump in there. But it's kind of cool because what they do is they feed 240 over to a relay, and then it ties into a power supply, and that power supply all it controls is that pump. But yeah, they're pretty beastly little DC pumps, man. But they move some stuff.
Is that a separate power supply? Or is it just off the?
Yeah, it's separate power supply, so it's kind of
okay.
I think they're kind of worried about it. If it tanking, it's not going to take out the power supply for the whole unit, just the grease collection pump, which makes sense. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, so it's a full add-on. Everything about it's just okay.
Yeah, so there's a float. If you look down the bottom, you get that screen cover. You pull it up, and there's a float that goes down there on the left-hand side. So when that float, since as the level get full, it kicks on that pump, and that pump sucks it down so that float shuts off. And it's supposed to suck the grease off the top. I mean, it works when they use the cooking program, but when they're not using a cooking program, it's just a mess. It's just, like I said, their cooking program it uses steam a lot, and so when it goes into steam, if it doesn't sense that steam pressure, that water pressure, it actually will shut the cooking program off. So anytime it has a water issue, it automatically just shuts it off, and it's just done.
Oh, gotcha.
So, but like I said, they think they got it figured out by just going around behind it and doing whatever, and it just costs them more money. I tell them every time, like, it's your own fault, but
they'll keep doing it.
No, it's not their money. It's a grocery store chain. Yeah. They don't care. You go in there, and you're like, this son was a piece of shit. I'm like, no, it's you guys, man. I've been servicing the same grocery store for like 12 years. They're on their 4th set of ovens in 12 years, 4th different manufacturer, and every time it's the same thing. This oven's a piece of shit. I'm like, no, it's not. It's you guys, man. I want to tell them so bad. I'm like, no, you guys just don't take care of anything. But I can't do that.
Those combotherms, I mean, that's pretty top tier. That's pretty, decent stuff. And I mean, you got problems out of it, but most of the problems I've seen are just lack of maintenance and improper use, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem. Anything at a restaurant, it's improper maintenance and proper use. I mean, people don't take care of anything. They don't pay for it themselves. They don't really care. I mean, especially the combi ovens, water is a big issue. And I mean, I'll go into schools and the filters are dated 2018, 2019. I'm like, you guys might want to change those. Oh, they're still good. We still got flow through. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. No. So, I mean, you're bringing in water, but what kind of water are you bringing in?
Yeah, I've seen them where the carbons come out and it's like stuck in solenoid valves and stuff. I'm like, see, your filters are trash. Oh, no, it still has pressure, still good. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's not just like a screen that clogs up.
And that's another thing, too. That's especially with water or combi ovens in general. Just one issue can cause 10 other issues. And it's not just a simple fix at that point.
No, it's a chain reaction on most of the time with them.
Yeah.
So I do work on every manufacturer under the sun. I've been here lately. I've been installing a ton of Unox, which is they're kind of weird. I don't see a whole lot of them, but I guess they're struggling to get some of the other manufacturers in, and I guess there's a ton of Unoxes in the country. So I've been installing a ton of those here lately. They're not bad, but they're kind of different. They're abundant, I guess. I don't have a whole lot of service issues with them. They're just small. I mean, they're pretty simple. You pull the back off, and you got a terminal block back there. That's about all you got to hook up. They've got some water stuff going into them. They all come with a water filtration system. You can get a standalone hood with them, so you don't have to put them underneath the hood. So just like all the other manufacturers, they all have their own little options.
Mm-hmm. But is that just its own manufacturer? Or is that manufactured by another?
No, it's its own manufacturer. It's made in I think it's made in Italy.
Okay.
They're I don't know. They just don't. They're good quality. They just don't seem as robust as our heavy. I mean, they rock and roll. I mean, I have good luck with them. They have touch screens on the door. They're pretty nice, but it's just I'm not used to them.
Yeah.
I think a dealer here recently picked them up in my area, so we'll see. Probably see a whole bunch more of them. I mean, mainly what I see though is the rationales, alto shams, the combo therms, and that's about it. Those are the top three I see. I mean, occasionally I run to a Blodgett one. I haven't ran to a Blodgett one in years. I think the last one I did was like a children's museum. That's why when you were asking me about the water level in that one, I was like, is it eyes? Because the last one I seen actually had a clear tube going up the side, and it had a little laser eye, and the water was just enough to disrupt that laser eye, and that's how it sensed water. So I wasn't even sure what they were using now.
Yeah, that one just got that. It's got that water float board with that actual float switch on it. And that's what you said, optical eye, and I hadn't seen one in a combi oven, so then I looked it up and I couldn't find it, and I was like, well,
I'll have to look and see. There was two of them, and it's probably there was one at a nursing home up in Lafayette, and there was one at the Children's Museum. And it was always the same thing. They weren't cleaning it, and it was a boiler unit, so the lime scale would get in that tube, and it would sense the lime scale, not the water, and if they could have water in it, it'd dry fire it every time.
Yeah. I tell you, down here, I see mostly Rationale and Blodgett. There's quite a few Blodgett I've seen down here. We just picked up a new restaurant. They have 4 Blodgett combi ovens in there.
Really?
And we got a couple ones, a couple locations. We have a couple therms, and I mean I guess that's mainly you're always going to see Rationale. I feel like that's pretty across the board, and combo therm. But I've seen quite a bit of Blodgett combi ovens down here. Maybe it's a dealer thing or.
Yeah, it's a dealer who's in the area. I think sells a lot. I mean, I do a lot of fast food restaurants, like Startup and Warranty Works, where I do most of mine. And I mean, everyone has a model that's either in a McDonald's or a Wendy's or something. So Blodgett has a mini, Combitherm has a mini. Rationale, they have a small one. I haven't seen it in any fast food restaurants, but generally it's either Blodgett or Combitherm. I see in a lot of fast food restaurants. McDonald's has but the McDonald's is a new style. It'll have 2 in the back. They're side by side. The problem is you have to get on the side to work on them, and they're probably 8 inches apart. Oh. So, and they're up high on a table. So when you're looking at it, it's chest high as the bottom, and it's just how am I going to work on this?
Yeah,
it's on a table with legs, no wheels, and it's just a nightmare.
And those are mini combis.
Yep, minis. Yep.
Okay. So how do you go about working on them? Do you take them? Do you just? I mean, if it's hooked up, that's pretty much all you.
Most of the stuff's on the top, and you just kind of gotta do your best to move it, to slide it around a little bit. I mean, it's rough, depending on what you got to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the manufacturers put most of the stuff up on top and the hoods. On the minis, the hood's built into it. It's not a separate thing. So,
okay.
Most of the stuff's on the top. It's not bad. The Combitherm minis, everything's in the back. Contactors, everything's in the back.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're not bad to work on. You just got to get behind there, which can be scary on a tile floor with, legs and no wheels. And 1,000 pounds of oven, 8 feet in the air on it.
Oh, and you're 12 o'clock lunch rush. You're on a ladder.
Yeah. How much fast food restaurant work do you do?
I guess a decent amount. I'm trying to think of percentage wise. Probably about really 25%, I guess I would say fast food.
Yeah.
And that's mainly just because we have a customer that's got 13 locations down here and they keep us pretty busy. So I'd probably say about 25%.
It's not bad.
So,
It comes and
but
goes in spurts.
yeah, and those are mostly fryers and griddles and, holding trays and
Chicken
stuff
place,
like
huh?
that. Yeah. You guys take care of them up there, don't you?
Warranty. I don't know who they'll use up here. They've
Okay.
got, I think they got 3 locations open. A fourth's getting ready to open. They're
Mm,
cranking them out like every month. One's opening up. So
yeah.
we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll do the warranty work, and then who knows after that. I mean, I don't have the workforce behind me currently to go too crazy on trying to push something like that. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. They'll
We're
keep
up.
it busy. That's all I know.
Yeah, we're up from 3 guys. We're up to. We had another one start today, so we're up to 6.
Okay.
One's still getting ready to retire. They got a couple more they want to interview and see. So we're still trying to build the market, but you know how it goes. It's slow. You want to build the right guys, but then people don't want to, you know, they just want to get bodies in there, and it's a delicate balance, man.
It is, especially now, workforce now. It's almost like a lot of people just want to take whoever they can get, but at the end of the day, you need to build something quality. So you got to make a sacrifice somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so do you do any installs on combis or anything, or just mainly service on them?
Mostly service. I mean, we haven't installed, or I haven't installed any combis. Installed a few steamers, which is similar-ish,
Yeah,
and not really a whole lot of combi ovens. We've mainly just service, but done quite a bit of service on those. And I mean, they're cool, like the combo therms. Those things are neat because everything's in that side panel, or mostly everything's in that
yeah,
side panel, and it's they're intimidating at first, but once you kind of get used to those controls and dig and actually work on the components on the interior, it's kind of like anything else. But it's obviously a huge learning curve to
yeah. Have you done boilerless and boiler on the combo therms? So you've done
them.
both?
Mainly boiler.
Yeah.
Most of the ones I've touched are boiler.
See, mine are mostly boilerless. I've got one location that I've only have like 3. Um, I've only had like 3 boiler combo therms, and they kind of throw me for a loop. One of them's older, one of them's a new style, and they're not bad. The customer's pretty good. They have a PM with us, so we change filters
Mm.
every 6 months. If the guy breaks the water main, he has us come in and change the filters. So he thinks there's stuff in the water, like
Oh, that's good.
sediment and stuff. So he like freaks out and he has us come in and change water filters. I go in twice a year and descale them. But anytime it acts up, he calls me right away. So he's a really good customer. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. And those, like most of the stuff I've dealt with on calls with those is just pretty much lack of maintenance, and then issues with needing to be descaled and performing that process, doing the PM on those. And but I did notice when I was working on them is and I think you told me that the control panel, once you access that controls and you can control that main contactor, that's a pretty cool feature about those combi ovens.
Yeah, all the touchscreens are about that way anymore. They're so intuitive and so easy to use.
Mm-hmm.
It makes our job a lot easier. So I mean, you can power on something, and you can, say if you're working by yourself, you can jam your meter leads in a connector, and then hold
Mm-hmm.
your meter and you hit the button, turn it on. Okay, I got power. This should be running. It's not running. So that kind of stuff is making our job a lot easier. But it's
Mm-hmm.
also it can be a pain in the butt because you see a kid in the kitchen, he sees a screen, he's gonna start touching it, he's gonna figure it out. He'll figure out a
Exactly.
password and he'll get in there and change the language, or he'll get in there and change the pictures or whatever. Is
Mm-hmm.
I had one that was stuck in a different language and I didn't know how to get it out, and they were like, you got factory reset it. I'm like,
Oh
factory
man.
reset it. I was like, I can't do that. So Duke says he's installing a double stack 101i Combi Pro today. Any advice? So what are you doing? You doing a 101 on the bottom and a 61 on top, I imagine. I don't think you can stack 101s on top of each other. Pull that black gasket off, man. You do not need it on that top oven. That black gasket just gets in the way. So pull that black gasket off and just make sure you got it snapped in that top rail. So what I'm talking about is on the iCombis, when you stack them now, they have a black gasket. They're flush on the bottom, so you don't access anything through the bottom now.
Mm-hmm.
So on the rationales. So there's the stack kit has like a little plate that comes up and it's got a little ridge all the way around the outside, and you actually have to put the oven in at an angle and like push it back at an angle, and it snaps into two sides, and that's what locks it into place. So it's a pretty cool little setup. It can be kind of a pain in the butt to get it the first time, but it's nice. But they have a black rubber gasket because it's made to like sit on a flat surface. Now you can sit on a flat table or counter or whatever. But you want to pull that off if you're stacking it or you put it on a stand or something that doesn't have a flat bottom, because it just gets in the way.
So they give you that option so that you can stack it.
Yeah, it's nice because like everything's in the side or in the back though is a problem. So there's a pump board in the back and some pumps in the back, so it can be a pain in the butt to work on. I've only worked on a few of them. I've installed a bunch of them, but I haven't had to hardly do any service on them yet.
And that's Rationale.
Yep, it's a new Rationale line.
Okay.
And they come out with new software for it about twice a week though.
Yeah.
No. I think I got 2 emails in one day about software, about different updates. I'm like, you just updated this morning. How are you updating it again?
on those Rationales, anytime if you change any parts on them, don't you have to update the software when you do so? Or
no, it depends on what part it is. You're supposed to do a self-test. So like on I think it's burners, components, blowers, that kind of stuff. If you change it's a major component. I forget what it is. There's a list, but you're supposed to do you're supposed to initiate self-test so it can like refine itself. So on those Rationales, when you turn them on the first time, you do a self-test, and it finds out where it's at as far as elevation, all that kind of stuff. So it sets its own boiling point and everything. It kind of like figures out where it's at. You got to put a pan in the middle, and it kind of acts as a load and a buffer. And but yeah, they want you, if you change a blower or a major component, to go ahead and redo that self-test so you can relearn everything again.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah, I haven't really worked on a whole lot of Rationales. They're a little more complex than your everyday Combi oven. So.
Yeah, and they don't. If you haven't been trained, they don't want to help you. It's a bad deal. I mean, you think they want to give support for their product, but it just seems like I hear a lot of guys. I don't know. I can't say for sure because I'm trained, so I get support. I hear a lot of guys say the factory won't talk to them if they're not Rationale, techs or haven't been trained on and stuff, which is kind of weird, but.
Yeah,
I don't make the rules. I just play the games.
You would think. I mean, the key with having good tech support is it helps your product. If your tech support's really good, your product just looks better because it is usually operating better. And if you could call tech support and they walk you through a problem and you fix an issue, your customer just sees, oh, that was fixed. Same day, not many callbacks, and that's because of good tech support. So I don't understand the Rationale thing, and I do know Cefesa's doing that Combi oven class and. End of February, and Rationale will actually be there, so I don't know if that counts.
Nice. I'm not sure how that would work. I know it'll probably like the ice machine class. You get like 1 day with each manufacturer, and you kind of rotate through. I wanted to go to the ice machine class. I've never had any ice machine training in my life. I wanted to go. Yeah, I wanted to go, but I don't get to do anything, man. I have to go teach, and then I mean I get to do all kinds of stuff. I just don't get the training anymore. They're like, oh, you can do it. I'm like, well, that's not the point. But
you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Do you guys work on a lot of ice machines?
Or do you hit or miss? We don't do like you think who we are. We do more like warranty ice machine work, but warranty ice machine work generally goes to like smaller companies. It's kind of weird. Yeah. We didn't even do Manitowoc ice machines, and we did all the other Manitowoc lines as far as warranty. So. Yeah. No, I just got a few customers here or there. We don't do a whole lot of ice machines. There's a company up here that does a ton of leasing on ice machines. They lease them out and they service them and stuff, and they've got a pretty good market share. And there's a couple other companies do a really good job with it. So, but if I have a school or something, I try to, do it all. So,
I gotcha. Yeah, we do ice machines. I mean, I work on ice machines, but that's kind of the same for me. I haven't had training on them. But, I haven't really worked on them a whole lot.
The good thing is most of the information's out there online. It's just it takes a while to find it and to sort through it because it'll have one book that may have like 20 or 30 models in there, and then trying to find the chart that has what your unit is supposed to be doing at this temperature, this pressure, all that kind of crap. It's just it takes a little while, but
I mean, I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a huge ice machine fan. I will say that.
They can be a pain. You gotta have patience, man.
Yeah.
Because like our policy is it has to make 3 batches before you can leave.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you get on Hoshizaki, and a batch may take 45 minutes some days.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh yeah. So and that's a lot. It's a lot of hurry up and wait, and there's nothing fast about it. So and
no,
parts now are insane.
yeah, that's what started. That's what killed me because I first started on hot side and I transitioned to ice machines
Mm-hmm.
and refrigeration, and that was the biggest thing was me trying to learn patience. And I still don't have patience, man. There's some days I'm like, I don't want to do this. I just want to go home. But I mean, you fix an oven, you can tell pretty fast it's going to work. You fix an ice machine, and you let it make one batch, or you let it start and you leave, and guess what? It may never finish that batch, or it may
Yeah.
not make 2 batches. So it's a
Yeah.
patience game. So on the combi ovens, man, we work on everything from, like I said, the tabletop ones all the way to the big floor units. I've had some big stand-in units, 202s or 2020s. I had a
Mm-hmm.
big giant Alto-Shaam 2020. It was 208 volt. It had 2 4-inch pipes coming out of the ground and went straight to the bottom of the unit. They set the unit on the pipes and had a 250 or 225 amp breaker on this thing.
Oh my
I
gosh.
swear when they turned it on, the lights in the whole building dimmed. I was like, why did you guys buy this thing, man? You could have got it in 480 or gas. They even had gas in the kitchen. But
Jeez.
I was like, geez, man.
So that's just the electric combi
Yeah,
oven.
it pulled like 182 amps or something, I think.
Oh my gosh.
It had 2 big 4-inch pipes, and dude, it had like 4-aught wire in it. I was like, this is insane. I was like, I feel sorry for the guys that had to run this wire. I had door issue with it. I ended up replacing the whole door assembly and it fixed it, but it was just leaking steam all the time. But come to
Yeah.
find out, it used to be across the street in their old building. They built a new building and moved it across the street. And I think they ended up damaging the door when they were moving it across the street because the
Mm-hmm.
door would never seal up right. It was kind of warped. So,
One of those deals. What happened to the door? I don't know. Just
yeah. And you talk to the right person, like, oh, well, this oven used to be across the street. I was like, oh, well,
Oh, that
too
makes
late
sense.
now. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm, 20 hours deep into it and all kinds of parts you find out. So,
Oh yeah. That's usually how it is. They don't give you that information up front.
no. So some of the key things with ice machines with combi ovens, well, it's the same, but water's
Yeah.
terrible. I'm in Central Indiana. Our water is pumped out of underground lakes, full of lime scale,
Mm. Oh yeah.
and it's just a quality issue. So, like we're talking about, there's boiler style, and there's boilerless. So, the advantage of a boiler versus a boilerless is the lime scale is released inside the boiler, so you can treat it. So Rational uses the care control stuff, and it actually puts a descaler into the boiler. That's what keeps that boiler halfway clean if they keep up with it.
Yeah.
But on the spritzer models, the boilerless style, if you notice, all those doors are white. The cabinets are white. They get the lime scale sticking to all the metal and stuff, and that's because that water is dumped in that spritzer, and it comes through that tube and gets thrown in that fan. That fan atomizes it and blows it into those elements. Those elements hyperheats it, and that lime scale is then released into the cavity versus inside the boiler. So that's why if you go up to a lot of the boiler style, you'll see you can't see through the glass because why you open the door, everything's covered in lime scale in there,
Mm.
and the customer has to do a better job of taking some vinegar and spraying it down. I've had customers use Easy Off and eat the stainless steel, and once
Oh,
that
that
stainless,
oven cleaner stuff or
yeah,
that.
that
Yeah.
had a combo therm that had to change heat exchanger, panels, racks, everything because they cleaned it with oven cleaner and it ate it up.
Yeah. And
And
that's the combo therm stuff clearly says you only supposed to use a certain type of cleaning material on that.
they
So
all say it. Yeah,
yeah.
it literally ate. It attacks. It doesn't attack the stainless. It attacks the welds in
Hmm.
the stainless because it's something in the welds and it just eats them up.
Easy. A $6 can of Easy Up.
Yeah, that people. I mean, like I've seen people pour like lime away down the flues in the gas units because they think
No.
they're pouring it into the because they see they think it's into the boiler, so they'll pour easy out down the flue. I mean, not easy out, but lime away down the flue, and I'm like,
Mm.
why are you doing? I'm like, that thing's trash now. I'm like,
Yeah.
sure.
What's the I guess what's the PM process on a spritzer, like a
A
boilerless?
spritzer,
Yeah.
it just depends on the situation where they're at. I mean, I've had to go in. I've taken ice machine cleaner and going in and put it in a spray bottle and spray it down, rinse it off, spray it down, rinse it off, and just try to get it off there. Pretty much when I do a PM on this, we do it for that grocery store chain. We go in and we check all electrical connections. We make sure everything's good and tight, nothing's pulling off. We check amp draw and everything. We check in on all the major functions. I go through, I test into each individual component in the IO screen, so you can check, all your fans, all your solenoids, and all that stuff. Make sure all that stuff works, and then that's not the best of it. But if you do have an issue with lime scale, I try to use vinegar. I try to get the customer to use vinegar. Don't let them scrape on that glass because they may just scratch that glass a little bit and it may explode on them. If you've never seen a tempered glass door explode, it's kind of crazy. So I tell them to use vinegar and just let it soak and rinse it off. If they keep up with vinegar, or if they're cleaning the oven like they're supposed to, it's not a problem. The problem is when they don't clean it, or they want to be cheap and it calls for so many tablets and they use half the tablets or a third of the tablets because they're trying to save money on tablets. And then all of a sudden, we clean it all the time. Well, how do you clean it?
Exactly. And the tablets, you mean you just put in that little, like the spray?
It just depends on what style it is. Some has you just throw them. You throw them, like the older rationales, you have to throw them in the basket. Some you had to throw. The newer ones, you actually throw them in the bottom. There's a basket in the bottom and a drain now. Combotherm has its own chemical it pumps in, so it's not too bad. I think Alto Sham has some tablets you throw in there. But most of them have multiple purposes. Like the rationale, like the tablets you put in there is a cleaner for the oven, and then the ones you put down below is actually the boiler cleaner. But at the end of the cycle, it actually pumps that water out of the boiler into the cleaner and uses that acid to neutralize the cleaner. So they neutralize each other. And it rinses it out. It's weird. I don't know the science behind it, but
yeah. And that's is that when they just have it constantly hooked up to the cleaner?
The Comotherms are the rationale at the end of the day or whenever they clean it. It may suggest for them when they want to clean it, but they have to. It tells them what to do. It tells them how many tablets of each to put in there.
Okay. Yeah.
The thing you'll run into with the rationale is a lot of times they will say the care control. It shows like 2x or 3x. Well, that's total packages, and people think it's 3 pellets because there's a package that has 4 pellets in there. So they think it's just 3 pellets, and no, that's when they run into problems. I've ran into it all the time where people are doing that. Putting 2 pellets in there versus 2 packages, and their boilers are lined up. They're like, well, we clean it. I'm like, how do you do it? And they show me. I'm like, no, that's not what that means. It's 2 packages, not 2 individual pellets.
Oh, so they're putting 2 pellets in as opposed to 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, they don't know. That's what they think. And then you got sales guys to go in there and shut off. Like they'll turn the soft water on so they use less chemical and stuff. I'm like, no, they don't have soft water. Don't turn that on.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a big thing too. Water quality. Do you test water quality on combi ovens?
Yeah. So every Combotherm we put in comes with a test kit. Today, yesterday I did that Unox and it didn't have a test kit, but I tested hardness. It had me test hardness before the filter and after the filter. And I was like 10 grains before or 10 parts per million and 9 after. So it knocked 1 hardness out, but I'm like, it's not doing crap.
Yeah. No.
And that was out west. Your water is the same down there. It's terrible. You can taste it.
Just river water, lake water.
Yeah. There's a huge underground lake in Indianapolis, and that's where we get most of our water. That, and then a couple of lakes and rivers around here. It's terrible, man.
I don't know where the water I get is coming from. I guess the Ohio. Do you get water?
Probably the Ohio River. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's scary.
There's so many chemicals and filtrations in it. It's you wouldn't know what's in there.
Yeah.
So what's some of the crazy stuff you've seen on combi ovens? Anything nuts or anything, or just?
I guess probably the craziest thing was probably that that Blodgett, that float switchboard, that was kind of wild. And that Convotherm that I've worked on, both of those 2 Convotherms, changing the boiler pump out on those. And those, I think I sent you those picture of those water probes. They just look like 2 Twix bars. It was just brown, long. I was like, man, this is not good.
Yeah, it builds fast.
quick. And if those probes look like that, that tank looks like that too. So it's kind of one of those things. That I mean, aside from that, that's kind of the extent. Haven't really worked on a ton of them, so I'm still kind of, new to those. But I think one thing that sticks out is like the blower motor operation. It's kind of cool, like the forward and forward and backward. That's a pretty cool feature they got on there.
Yes, that's the cook evenly, so it spins the air so much one way and the other. It helps. It really does help in the cooking. So Dan Clemens says, do they recommend an RO system for water? Each water is kind of independent, so it's kind of specific to your area. And I do know that you do not want pure RO water going. You want to blend a little bit in. Pure RO water is actually attack stainless. So you want to have a little bit in. On the spritzer units, you don't need any hardness as far as the sense, but in the boiler models, you got to have some sort of hardness for that to sense the probes. I mean, you got so many millisiemens of conductivity, or it won't work. So it just depends on application specific.
Yeah, I always would just refer to manufacturer specs on that stuff.
Yeah, most of the time the sales guy comes out and tests the water beforehand or knows the area and recommends a water system. I do a lot of ROs with the Alpha Shams, but they're boilerless. They don't really care. Mostly on rationales, I put in their filtration system. The Unox has their own filtration system. So,
you say those are called Enox? Is that what you
Unox?
said? Unox.
Unox. They're weird. I mean, they're smaller units, but they work.
That's good. I mean, how do customers like them? I guess.
So yeah, they seem to like them. I don't have a whole lot of service with them either. I mean, I've had a few here or there. Most of the time, I had two gas. It was a gas unit. It was a floor model, so it was a 202 or whatever they call it, a 20 size, and it had a blower wheel came apart, and I was trying to turn the blower wheel off, and it broke the bolt off inside the end of the shaft. So I had to change the motor too.
That's always a good feeling,
Yeah,
you just feel it break, and it just turned.
Yeah, I've seen it bending. I've seen it bending. So I use a posit lock. I cranked it down, put heat on it, and I was like, man, I don't have any other choice. As I just kept going. The bolt broke off in the end, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I actually got it out, and then I was trying to thread the new one in, and it snugged up, and I got mad. And I didn't even have my big impact or my 18-volt impact. I had my little Milwaukee M12 Surge, and it snapped it right off in there. I was running in and out, trying to clean it up, and it hit a hard spot and just snapped it right off in there. I was like,
that's that thing. It's like when a bolt is really, really, really tight, and then it's really loose.
Yeah. So Dave Johnson was talking about New Orleans. Yeah, water would be pretty bad probably down there. So EC2 fixed. My chef's almost bought an Unox. I did some research and told him nope, no parts support at all. Man, I don't have a hard time getting parts. I get them pretty fast. But I'm part of a big conglomerate. We get everything pretty fast. So I can't really complain about that.
Yeah, that's another thing too with new equipment. Like, how are the parts? How's that coming along? I mean,
the parts are pretty available. I mean, I haven't had any issues. The only time I have an issue is like that wiring harness I changed this morning. I ordered that thing like August 30th.
Was that a Combotherm?
Yeah.
It had to ship from Germany, didn't it?
Probably. I'm not sure. I didn't get it till last week. And I didn't even need the whole harness. And the only way they sell to me is I had to have the whole harness for the whole oven. So I just needed the one that goes, where a cooling fan is in the bottom below the relays, if you pull that cover off that fan, there's a plug back there. And all it does, it's like a Molex, and sends wires over to the clean pump, the chemical pumps, and the switch. But it shorted out, it rubbed through, and it was blowing a fuse. And I just cut it out and I didn't wire it, I butt connected it. I put silicone in the butt connectors and taped it up because I knew it was going to be forever if I could get it.
Yep.
It's been running like that since like the end of August, but it finally came in. And this customer, as soon as they know when parts come in, as soon as parts come in, they demand us to get out there. So I was out there at 6 o'clock this morning.
Yep. And that's I know about that wiring harness. I talked to Combotherm, and they said it has to ship from Germany to the Jeffersonville location, the well built facility, and then it ships out to you. And I'm just like, man, that's nuts. Just for a wiring cluster.
Well, and they didn't have the part number. I pulled the part number off the schematic because the part number was on the schematic. I was like, hey, I think it's this. And the guy's like, he's like, well, that's it. He's like, but it's nowhere in the system. He's like, we never sold that one piece. So I fought, and they said, no, I had to buy the whole thing, and it just took forever to get it. So now I've got 7/8 of a wiring harness in my van for a Combotherm I'll never use.
We'll keep that in mind, man.
I'll end up cutting connectors off it and stuff.
Yeah, I'll hit you up if I need one of those.
That's funny. So, but no, water quality is key to happy equipment, no matter what it is, boilers or boiler. Like I said, most of them have self-cleaning anymore, whether it's tablets or chemicals. What else? Most of them do a pretty good job as far as evenly cooking too. Like you said, you notice the ones where it runs 3 minutes. I don't know if it's 3 minutes. I know some of them, Aldous 3 minutes. I'm not sure what Combotherm is, but they all run one direction for a while and they stop and go the other direction. It's just aiding evenness of cooking and stuff. So
yeah, it helps longevity of that motor too as well, right?
I don't know. I'm sure it does. I mean, it's a multi-directional motor, and most of them have frequency drive, so one form or another. So I mean, it's pretty cool. It works out pretty well. It does a really good job, so I can't complain about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Opryland Hotel. That doesn't sound like a fun place to work. I bet it's busy. EC2 Fix works for Opryland Hotel. I haven't been there. I've been down that area, but never been to that hotel. We like to go down to Gatlinburg around Christmas time and go see everything and hang out.
You going this year?
No, because I'm gone 2 weeks in like the end of January, beginning of February. So I'm going to NAFM, which is like the 1st through the 3rd. So I'll be in Orlando like the 30th through the 4th, and then the 4th I drive up to Atlanta for AHR. So I'll be
that's right.
I'll be at HR. I'll get there Saturday, doing a tactical awards show on Sunday, and then I'll do the show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You're doing the podcast pavilion there too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing a podcast pavilion on Wednesday. I didn't realize signups were what they were, and I got one spot. There's a couple. I think there's a couple openings. So I may try to get another one, but I was just glad to get one. They sent the email out and had my logo on there, and I was like freaking out. I was like a little kid. I was like, "Oh my god!"
I saw that, man. They included that's top tier right there, man.
Yeah, and I was up on top too. I was like, "Hey, my little logo fit perfect right there."
Yeah, it looks good too. Quality logo.
Yeah. I got my Christmas tree in the background. At least I moved the cat condo because generally right there in front of the door is a big giant cat condo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had 2 cats. My daughter moved out. She took one, so we had one, and he was bored, so he wouldn't leave us alone. He kept climbing up on my desk and stuff, and I was like, no, I can't have this.
Need a condo, bro.
Yeah. But no, I installed quite a bit of combis. I installed everything from Combotherms, rationales, autoshams. That's one thing my company does is we offer that service. So a lot of times manufacturers ship them to us, and then we will prep them. If it's a stack unit, a lot of times I'll stack them in my warehouse because I have a forklift and it's an open area. There's nobody around. As long as I can get them in the building, I'll go ahead and put them in place, and I'll stack them at the shop, and then that way I can get them in. It's a lot easier. I don't have to worry about fighting people in the location and stuff. But and also I'll tie drains together, and I'll run water lines, gas lines, whatever I can. So it's try to do as much as I can outside of the kitchen because it is in the kitchen.
Yeah,
we were
as trying to get so you can just plug and play. Yeah,
we were trying to install this 2 yesterday at a school, and I was like, you guys are gonna hate me. Luckily, the gas one was really easy because it was a gas Unox, and it just had a cord, a fitting for gas, and a water and a drain. And the Unox drains are actually like flexible steam rated hose. And they come, so it's like real easy to run.
Oh, so you're just flexible drain on that.
Yeah, those are
Oh,
easy.
nice.
So
Yeah.
they're real easy. So I had the gas one installed pretty fast. I went to go plug
Yeah.
it in. And I was like, oh, 20 amp cord, 15 amp receptacle.
Hey, that's a 10-minute fix.
Yeah, well, I had to go to the hardware store anyways for the electrical one because it was the wrong stuff. Thanks for
Yeah.
stopping by, Dave.
Which Dave is that?
Dave Johnsona. He's on Facebook. I'm not sure if he's on Instagram or anything. You were in town during Professor Pat. Would have liked to have met you, but I couldn't afford the admission. Well, the only reason I was there, EC, is because I won Technician of the Year. So I was lied to. I was trying to go just for the social media aspect and everything else I do. And it didn't work out. And then like 2 weeks before the show, they're like, hey, someone canceled. We want you to take their spot. And so I was like, cool, I'll go, And I get down there and I'm like, okay. I'm like, who canceled? And they're like, oh, just somebody from PTH, And they kept lying to me. Eventually, like the last night of the show, they started doing the awards, and then my award was the first one up. And he started talking about everything someone does. I was like, man, I don't see any technicians here. And he's like,
me.
and he was like, and our newest trainer. I was like, holy shit, it's me. I was like, my boss was like, yeah, that's the whole reason you were here is for this. I was like, this is freaking crazy. So that's the only reason
so
I
you
gotta
didn't
go.
even plan on going.
I wanted to go, but it was just they're like, oh, it's not advantageous for what you do, and I'm in high demand because we're low on staff. So I mean, I understand, I get it, so I had no idea I was getting it. I knew it existed, but I didn't even think about it. And then like I started trying to piece it together while I was there, and I was like, no, and then it was funny.
That's awesome. That's good. Do they do that every year? Or is that a new thing?
The award ceremony is every 2 years. The show is every year. Hey, look, it's Greg Smith. What's going on, Greg? How's that back feeling, buddy? So Greg is one of our senior techs. He's the one that's getting ready to retire. He's been training. He had my son this week, and I think my son hurt him yesterday, so he didn't work today. Greg's got some back problems and stuff, and this industry will kill you if you don't take care of yourself. So if you're young, take care of yourself. Don't eat all the free food like me and get fat like me and Greg did.
Hey man, I can't turn down chicken fingers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
I turned down Burger King today.
You did?
Yeah, I had my trainee with me, and we fixed his Burger King. We had to do an update, and she was like, "Oh, you guys want something to eat?" And I was like, "No," and he got food. He's like, "Man, you turned down Burger King?" I was like, "Dude, when I started this job like 16 years ago, I weighed like 225 pounds." I was like, "You'll learn, man. You're new to this."
Yeah, I mean, I usually don't. But I don't know. It depends. Depends on what kind of day I'm having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My son's too freaked out. He won't do it. He's just. I took him in a Buffalo Wild Wings. The one I got working tomorrow night, dude. He was like, "No, I can't do this. This is nasty. He won't eat there anymore." I'm like, I was like that for like 6 months. I got over it, dude.
Yeah, it's the same here. Like me, I'd see the stuff. I'm like, I'm never eating here. But then you realize they're all like that. It's just a kitchen.
Yeah, you think once you realize, like, well, I've been eating here for years and it look just like this.
Yeah. So then, I mean, and you're fine. That's how I always looked at it. It's like, well, I'm okay so far. So.
Greg does. He's been doing this. I don't know how many years. He's a wealth of knowledge. He does a lot of our Combi stuff. Most of our Combi stuff, actually. We're doing a big rational heat exchanger program, so we got another guy up in town. He's actually out of the Louisville market. He used to work out of our office, and he's kind of sharing time right now, but he's doing a bunch of these rational heat exchangers. They've had some problems with heat exchangers, and they redesigned them twice. Actually, they redesigned them once, and then they didn't weld them, so they've gone back and welded them. So now we're changing a bunch of rational heat exchangers, and that's kind of fun. It's different. It's not a hard job. The bad thing is you can change the heat exchanger faster than you can do the software update, the flue gas analysis, and the paperwork. It's more time and paperwork than anything else, it seems like, anymore.
Yeah. I've looked at the heat exchangers in those. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot to it.
No.
So
they come out pretty easy. So on the rationales, you have your burner. You pull out that burner assembly, that pretty much frees the inside, the inlet side, and then you pop the top, and it sticks through the top. And there's like 8 bolts. There's 12 bolts.
Mm-hmm.
You pull those nuts off, and I mean, it literally you pull down and then twist it out, and it pulls right out, and you slide the new one right in.
Nice.
They're pretty much all the same.
Are the new ones the same as those? Like the same stainless?
Yep.
Or
Yeah, the problem with the heat exchanger was they were leaking, so there were seams where like they stamped the tubes into the big section,
Mhm.
and they've actually ended up welding those seams instead of just stamping them. So
Okay.
I think with the heat and the heating and expansion and contraction from hot and cold, and then the water getting sprayed on them, I think they were sucking in moisture. So you'd pull them out, and you just see that furry sock, burner. It'd just be
Mhm.
caked in like calcium or soap and to be white. Sometimes you'd even have water in there. And you pull them out, you can see water come running out and stuff.
Nice. What I guess what's a telltale sign of a cracked heat exchanger on those? Do you just visually inspect it or kind of
Well,
operational?
rationales are pretty easy because if you look on top, you see the flue coming out the top. There'll
Mhm.
be you can see like lime scale around it or like soap film around it. And if
Yeah.
you see if you look right by the flue on top and you see all the soap scale or the lime scale, that's when you want to pull that burner and check it.
Okay. Uh, nice. Yeah, it's
I mean,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
There's been a few that actually have physical holes in them. You can see or stick your hand in them, but most times it's just a crack or a weld that's kind of busted up, and you just gotta pull the burner and see. But
Yeah.
if you look on top and you see like a lot of white like flaky crap, yeah, it booms, it pops a lot too.
Yeah.
But the first thing I look for is I look for that white scale on top and go from there.
I got you. Yeah. And that's another sign too that I've heard is that pop, like that initial like pop and
Yeah, rationales. I mean, they generally light pretty easy.
mhm.
Some of the other manufacturers, the gas ones light pretty hard. But the rationales, they light really smooth. And if they're having a hard lighting issue or they're woofing or they're kind of popping a little bit, that's when you know you got issues. But most of the time it's a gas mixture issue or an air mixture issue, or like Greg said, you'll have a crack in the burner or something, an issue with that heat exchanger.
Mm.
Yeah, so Greg's been doing it 38 years. Greg
Has he really?
actually, yeah, he actually worked with my dad years ago. So,
Oh, nice. Did your dad do this kind of work?
yeah, he started off as an HVAC guy. He actually owned his HVAC company, and then he
Oh, okay.
transferred over into the restaurant world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ralph, it's actually on podcast form. I'll uh, I'll I'll download it and upload it tomorrow on my podcast. It's the same name. You can look it up. It's on all the major podcast apps out there. So there's a few of them, other ones out there, but yep, it's all saved. I won't delete the live stream. I'll leave it up and everything. Are you working tomorrow, Greg?
38 years. That's impressive. So
Yeah.
is he retiring this year or?
He's supposed he. I don't know. It just depends on how he feels and what we can do for him. We're
Yeah.
trying to take it easy on him and try to give him the trainees so he can work with them and try to prolong his career a little bit.
Yeah. You can use a guy like that for training too. Just, I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge. Like you get a lot out of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So you may have Corbin in because he doesn't know what he's doing because he went home sick today. So I told them not to. What's up, Adrian? I told them he couldn't do that night job tomorrow because I didn't want to have to worry if he was working tomorrow or not. So I told him either move the night job or find me somebody else. So I get somebody else tomorrow. But yeah, combi ovens. Greg can tell you about probably difference in combi ovens over 38 years.
Yeah.
Not having a combi oven to what they are now. I mean, the changes I've seen in the last 16 years, I couldn't imagine the last 38 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because I think Rationale's been they've been I guess in production for about 20, 30 years, haven't they?
I'm not sure exactly how long they've been in business. Yeah, Greg, Louisville. He doesn't work for us. He works for no. What do you work for?
Quest Tech.
Quest Tech. So,
Yep.
Dan, I work for General Parts, Indianapolis, Indiana.
We'll call it Quest Tech. We'll call it Best Tech. No,
There's a Best Kitchen up here.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I won't say anything bad about them. I gotta be nice, man. I get in trouble when people call my boss and tell him.
Yeah. Like he was talking crap. There's a Best, some company called Best down here. I see their trucks, but
That was the best everywhere, I think.
yeah, I don't know a whole lot about them. I guess what's the most common issues you see go wrong with Combi ovens, like service calls?
Well, I mean, just it's brand specific. So every brand has their own little hitches and their own little issues.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the combo therms, I mean, mainly I see chemical issues, chemical pump issues, ruptured hose issues. But if you get a ruptured hose on the EM, they're all gonna tear stuff up. It's not gonna be good for it. I mean, either losing chemicals, you lose the chemicals, you lose the grease, you lose the water. It's all gonna cause issues. So um, you got to watch out down below on the combo therms. You get some of that stuff gets wet down there. It's gonna blow that little fuse on the board, and then it won't do anything. It'll come on, but it won't do anything.
Yeah.
So a lot of the newer rationales, just some software glitches. But they're working pretty fast to take care of some of that stuff. There's some water settings stuff you got to change. I can't remember how to change them or what to change them to, so I have to call Greg and bother him.
Yeah.
Alto Shams, I've had some loose hose clamps, so they use some hose clamps for their lower. They call them Browning or humidity valves or Browning valves, and the hose clamps come loose, or I don't know if it just heats and expands over time, and it actually leaks some water. I had one yesterday that had it was leaking steam in the control compartment, and it was actually locking up the controller randomly and shutting it down. So I'm hoping that fixed it. But I mean, everything is just hit or miss, and it seems like things come in spurts. Though it's like it seems like you do one thing and you'll do it like 5 times in a row.
Yeah. I feel like that's how it is in general. Like I'll have one. Like recently, I had some probe sensors on some Pico fryers, and I feel like it was like 4 back to back.
Oh, you're not done yet, dude. Just wait.
Yeah.
Ask Greg. We went from changing one a week to changing like 15 a week.
My gosh, yeah, I'm at 4 for the past, I think, week and a half.
So they've changed. They actually changed vendors and probes and stuff. So it's quite a bit's changed in them. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they had a vendor issue or a bad supply or a bad run, but they've had.
I had a fryer that's display temperature was like 215.
It was 415.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
So they do all right till they hit like 250, 275, 300, and then all of a sudden the display starts dropping off, and your temperature's still going, and your display is dropping.
And it's every bit of it.
It's bad. And then the bungs are welded in there like crap. They're at an angle, so you can't get.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta literally bend the probe, man. It's terrible. I tell everybody I work with, I'm like, take a picture of that angle of that bung before you take that out of there. I say, because it's not going to be straight. It used to be straight, man. You used to just thread them right on there, no problem. I don't know how the jig's set up on the welder right now, but it's terrible. But
that's what I did. I did a probe sensor on. It was I think 2012 Pitco. This was, I mean, a few months ago, but I pulled it out and I just screwed it right back up. It went straight up. But these new ones, man, like you said, it says you're supposed to secure it to the probe bracket and then put your, I'm saying you're packing nut on it and then tighten it down. It's like, you can't do that. You have to unhook it from your probe bracket, put it at an angle, bend it. And it's just like, man, this is what should be a 10-minute job is now, 30, 35.
Have you got any of the new ones with the brown wires yet? They're not high temp wires; they're brown. So the newest ones don't have the white high temp wires; they're brown wires, and they're a longer probe, so they hang out the bottom a little bit. So you can actually grab the probe and like bend it, and then start the nut in.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. Just kind of bend it a little bit and then put that.
Well, my trainee, my son, he's been doing those. I'm like, because he's like, hey, he wants to do something on his own. I'm like, make him do all those. He can do those, Yeah. And he was freaking out one day. He's like, I'm gonna bend it. I'm gonna break it. I'm like, you break it. It was broke when you got here. Just bend it as hard as you can and get it. He's like, well, I don't want to break it. I'm like, I don't care if you break it, dude. It happens.
Yeah. So you guys are changing a whole lot of those too. I thought it was just no. I didn't know it was.
I think it's a whole product line issue.
Yeah, because is that the new ones for you guys, or is that just the past couple of years? Or
no, it's here recently. It's new units and even stock. Like I changed them and have to go back like 3 or 4 days and change the one I just changed again.
Oh my gosh, I'm hoping that's not the case.
Yeah, you'll see the new ones. They got brown wires and they got a little spot where you can actually bend them a little bit, and they're not bad. So
okay, yeah, I'll keep an eye out for those. Because the ones I was putting in are the ones with the blue, the two black and the 2 white.
Oh, so you have the dual controls in?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. We had a guy this week or last week. Which wire goes to which? Or like Greg had him on the phone, and Greg told him, he was like, "You got an ohm meter? You'll figure it out real fast if you use your meter." I was like, "You were
Yeah.
nicer than me because I would have just hung up on him."
All you need is a meter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Or guess. You can just guess.
black and black, white and white.
Yeah.
Dude, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, anything else with combis before I get off here?
I think we pretty much covered it. Unless you want to
No, I
add
mean,
anything, or
just they all come in all different sizes, styles, fuel sources, gas, electric, 480, 208, 120 volts. I mean, it's all out there. There's an application for any kitchen. I mean, you'll see them everywhere. I see them in mom and pop places. Every school, nursing home, hospital has them. I mean, they're just the versatility and everything you get out of the space. You can put one of those in. Just it's a no brainer.
Yeah. I see them in like commissaries, the cafeterias, stuff like that. So because you can do so much with them.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, you can steam, you can bake, you can do both. You can play. I mean, the bank walls will do the big racks, the big rolling racks. They'll plate up a bunch of food, put it in a cooler. When they go to serve it, they can just throw it back in there, heat it back up on the racks, and push it back out and serve it. It's crazy what you can do with these things. So
yeah, you do a ton with them. And like you said, a lot of schools, commissaries, stuff like that. I think that's where probably it's gonna be your most combi ovens.
oh yeah, schools are combi oven freaks, man. It's huge. So all right, guys, I won't keep dusting any longer, and I've been up since 4 a.m. So
Man, have you really?
yeah, every day, dude. I'm terrible. Like I was actually at like 3:45, just laying there. I got up. I'm getting older, man. I had to use the restroom, and I knew I had to get up at 4 o'clock. I didn't want to get up. I just laid there, and it's terrible.
Wait 15 minutes. You're good.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks very much for joining us. Take care, guys.
All righty, we'll see you.
See you.